Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I thought I'd mix it up a little bit today. It doesn't work. Start it over. Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. Yeah, that's about right. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today, kids, a lesson. Never gamble. To prove my point, I have this lottery ticket. Just gonna scratch this and then in this, and oh my God, I won $10! What was I saying? Oh yeah. On today's show, we definitely didn't gamble on this guest, a woman who moved to the tough streets of Chicago to save money. Please help us welcome Aja McClanahan. Plus, we'll share headlines ripped from the financial press, throw out the Haven Lifeline to a lucky listener, and still wash it all down with some incredible corn trivia to celebrate National Corn on the Cob Day. And now, two guys who longtime fans know are both big fans of corn and cheese, Joe and O-G.
Why do they call stuff cheesy when cheese is so good?
You know what I like is that Mexican corn and cheese in the styrofoam with the butter and the chili powder and all the
hashtag
deliciousness.
Yum. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mexican Corn and Cheese Show. I'm Joe Salcihai, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And across the card table from me again for another glorious Wednesday, it's Mr. OG.
I'm here.
You know who really is here? Aja McClanahan. We've needed to get this woman on the show because she has a story. The team, while we're putting the story together, I'm telling them about Aja and about her story, and they're like, this is an amazing story. Of course. Who else are we going to have on the Stacking Benjamin Show? Come on. Both of our listeners deserve decent guests, OG. Both of them.
I thought we were up to 3 listeners now.
Well, now that we've got your mom in the fold, I suppose we do have 3.
That's right.
And you know what all 3 of our listeners need, OG? They all need Slack so they communicate much better with people on their team. We use Slack here in the basement. We live on Slack. Thanks to Slack for supporting Stacking Benjamins. Slack is the collaboration hub for work that makes sure the right people in your team are always in the loop. And key information is always at their fingertips and the ball doesn't get dropped. Learn more at slack.com. Also, Stacking Benjamins is brought to you by Magnify Money, where the average person who goes there saves $450. How do you get your 4.5 Benjamins? Take a look, stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money, the site that makes it easy for you to compare, ditch, switch, and save, whether it's your savings account, your checking account, those credit cards that you just can't pay off, consolidation loans. They got a fantastic blog, OG. It's a great place to go. We've got a great show for you today. Aja McClanahan coming down to the basement. Jamie Wise is here. Maybe a little belatedly here. We'll explain that in a minute. But first, we've got a headline, so let's move.
Hello, darlings. And now, it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Well, this is a crappy headline. Comes to us from USA Today. Did you see this one? Woman charged $7,000 for Amazon toilet paper delivery, gets a refund more than 2 months later.
Okay. I see your joke now. I'm like, she got a refund. How did she order $7,000 worth of paper?
It took more than 2 months, but the Georgia woman charged $7,455 to have 3 cartons of toilet paper delivered from Amazon, was refunded a couple weeks ago. The culprit, likely an unfortunate combination of an Amazon seller who overcharged for shipping, breaking Amazon rules, a buyer failing to check the final delivery bill, and an Amazon customer service system that stumbled. The story began March 2nd when Barbara Carroll, Berkeley Lake, Georgia, ordered 3 boxes of Palm toilet paper.
That's the triple ply stuff. I like that.
Nothing messy about that. For 2 office buildings she manages using the company's debit card. Each box held 48 rolls. Imagine that charge showing up on the debit card.
Could you imagine? And especially a small business like yours or mine, where it's like, whoa, what happened?
There are multiple sellers on Amazon that stocked a particular product, and she chose one called the Ideal Store. The cost for the toilet paper was $88.17. Carol clicked 2-day shipping, then buy, and she was done. 2 days later, after toilet paper arrived at the building, it was all set, or so she thought. Less than a week later, Carol was doing a regular check of the bank account when she discovered a deduction dated March 6th for $7,543.17. When she went into her Amazon account, she found she'd been charged $88.17 for the toilet paper and $7,455 for the delivery.
Did they walk it from the manufacturer to 3 people just stroll down the sidewalk for 2 straight days? Is that how they...
You know those Budweiser commercials where they're going along with the team of Clydesdales? I don't think even those cost $7,000.
I can't imagine.
Carol, like an estimated 63% of Amazon's U.S. customers, is a member of the company's Prime membership program, which for $119 a year gives customers free 2-day shipping with other perks, something Prime members come to expect and can sometimes forget isn't available on every product. As a longtime Prime member, Carol wasn't worried. Quote, as soon as I saw that number, I knew I didn't have to worry because Amazon would see it was a problem and fix it right away, she told USA Today. That's not what happened. Carol called Amazon's customer service multiple times, and each time the person who opened her file laughed and said the delivery fee obviously was crazy. But then they poked around a little more and would tell her she had to take it up with the Ideal company, the third-party seller from whom she bought the toilet paper. Amazon basically said, I know you bought it through our site. Not my problem.
That's surprising too, because Amazon's always been so awesome, right? On their customer service and delivery and refunds and all that sort of stuff. In fact, nowadays, when you do a refund to Amazon and you print the label, as soon as that label is scanned, you know, the UPS guy scans it, they credit you right then. They go, all right, it's already in the mail, so we're going to credit you the money back.
Didn't do it this time.
Super easy. Okay.
Because of the third-party seller. We've had some issues lately, even on our end with Amazon. And a friend of ours, actually, a guy who's going into the Hall of Fame, congratulations to our friend Dave Jackson, going into the podcasting. Did you know there's a podcasting Hall of Fame?
Oh, okay. No, I didn't.
Dave Jackson, School of Podcasting, headed to the Hall of Fame. Good job, Dave. Congratulations to him. But anyway, he got kicked out of Amazon for the second time. It was just going over the terms of service. Basically, it appears that they want people like you and I to basically do a lot of marketing for them and then figure out a way to kick us out of their program so that they don't have to pay us. But,
well, there's 2 different ways, right? There's the, you know, we're talking about the retail side as a consumer. You know, there's people that make money on Amazon too, right? Yeah. So some of it, like this company that you're talking about, that fulfills orders for them. And then there's also people that link people together. You know, I've had nothing but good things about Amazon. Bezos is doing me right.
You and Jeffy Jeff getting on.
J-Dog is what I call him.
So she also, to continue this, she got in trouble with the managers of the building, the owners of the building, whose debit card had been charged, and they started putting pressure on her. I think that checking that fine print up front might have helped out. I also think checking the bank balance, and you know, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that manually. I use Clarity Money and very quickly can see what expenses came through the day before. And they make it so easy. And Clarity Money, if you want to sponsor the show, that's great. Joe@stackingbenjamins.com. Just shoot me an email. We can talk.
Or just send some PayPal money. That's cool too.
Just whatever. Yeah. Send us $7,500 worth of toilet paper, whatever you want. I can very quickly just look at the day before's transactions and just do a quick skim. The fact that she waited a week, delayed it a week, and made it an issue.
Well, you can also set up most debit cards, credit cards, whatever, banks, right? You can set up third-party alerts, right? So you can set up different transaction levels, like alert me every time I spend more than $500, or alert me, you know, that sort of thing. And
or you can just cap it. You can also cap it. I know that for a while
that's what I do to your debit card for the business. Yeah. I'm like, no more than $26.
Because I'm the
subs. That's it, dude.
I'm the spender in this family. I'm totally the spender. You got to put me on a leash.
It's so funny because we exactly have different roles. No joke, right? In my family, I might be the spender. But in our relationship, I'm definitely why did you go to Subway yesterday? That sandwich cost us $6.
What are you talking about?
It better have been good.
Hey, our second headline, we're going to go to here in a second. We got to pull back the curtain just a little bit. Jamie Wise, our social media correspondent, was supposed to be on about 3 weeks ago. And we had a guest that unfortunately had to cancel at the last minute. We thought they were coming right back. They still haven't come back. So this is live via tape. Jamie Wise came down to the basement. And in our second headline, let's talk about the buzz from social media. Our social media correspondent, Jamie Wise from the Buzz Index, coming down the stairs. How are you, man?
Hey, great to be back down here, Joe. How are you? Happy spring.
Well, happy spring to you. I can't believe. What, did spring start in Toronto like yesterday?
Yesterday, officially. Officially based on the weather at least. But yes, finally. The ice has melted.
Crazy snow and then 80 degrees, then more snow, more 80 degrees. But let's talk about what's not snowy, what's heated up. I'm looking at the 1-year return for the Buzz Index, which a disclaimer for everybody. This is in my portfolio as well. So do your own homework on the Buzz Index, but I own it. 1-year return looks like about 24% for the Buzz Index versus 10% as we record this for the S&P 500. Congratulations on a nice last 12 months.
Thank you. Nice to lock that in and nice to see the algorithm doing what it should, which is picking up ever-growing levels of stock-specific posts and mentions across online platforms. But what's really happening, we got to thank the community. Thanks to the Stacking Benjamin users out there who are online talking about stocks, because the more conversation we have, the more stocks we can analyze, the better the machine can do at picking out the real standouts from that conversation.
Well, and as always, when you're here, I want to dive into the buzz. But first, there's an elephant in the room. Tell me about this Bloomberg coverage, man.
How neat is that? You know, sometimes I guess the word just gets out. So we had no idea that we were going to be featured on that weekly show. It's ETF IQ. Eric Balchunas, who is really known as the ETF godfather out there in terms of covering the space and really tracking the flows. He has this new weekly show, and at the end of the show, they have a little segment that's called "There's an ETF for That," and picking up, I think, probably on some of the good performance that we've had in the index, some of the innovative ideas and approaches that we use. They wanted to help spread the word, just like we're doing here today on the show. And they really created this neat little video. Next thing I know, a friend of mine happened to see it and sent me a text saying, I didn't know you guys would be featured today. And so that was a lot of fun and a really neat video. Joe, I'll get you to send out the link to all your listeners after the show.
Yeah, we'll have it in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Also, people that belong to our close Facebook group got that, was the second that we heard about it. Actually, you posted it there for us.
I posted it because I had to thank the community. It's part of your community that helps really drive this for our little ETF here. So big thank you and a shout out to everyone there who cares to engage. Appreciate it.
Well, let's get down to it then. You're here to talk about social media. Enough high-fiving. Let's now dig in and talk about what's going on social. Sector-wise, what sectors do people seem to be watching on social media right now, Jamie?
Yeah, well, we had a couple notable shifts in the last rebalance last month. The first one we should talk about is the materials sector, and we probably touched on it the last time we spoke because, of course, Donald Trump and his tariffs on steel really got people sort of geared up that could be the start of something new and a new run in those material stocks and names like U.S. Steel and such. That sentiment faded quickly. This was the quickest sector turnaround we've ever seen in the Buzz Index, where an 8% weight in materials went all the way down to less than 1%.
Wow.
And you know what? It was timely, right? Because people realized that this goes back to that concept of diminishing returns of influence, in that, once the president or anyone else that we think might be influential says something, doesn't necessarily play out that way, and people see that quicker than you would expect. So while we saw that big short-term jump, it faded very quickly, and sure enough, the sector faded along with sentiment. And since we took down our exposure in materials, that sector has been one of the worst performing sectors over the last 3 or so weeks since we rebalanced, down 4%. So a good move on behalf of measuring sentiment there to get out of materials. But maybe another sector that we were a little early on is consumer staples and financials, which really actually increased their weights. They probably took it from materials into consumer staples also underperformed just a little less than materials. So I guess a good swap. Same with financials. We picked up about 200 basis points by doing that change. But nevertheless, those indexes still underperforming over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just before you and I sat down to do this, I was upstairs with Mom watching CNBC, and I saw Kramer talking about Kraft Heinz as an example of a stock that's just been just been through the ringer. That stock's done horribly, and he said, it might be time for a buy. But he also said that you've got interest rates really weighing on a lot of these stocks. Are you seeing that a lot in the Buzz Index? The interest rates are kind of weighing on these big names?
I think what we're seeing are some contrarian calls collectively from the community, and whether that's on the consumer stocks like Kraft Heinz or other names that are coming into our index, or the financials, right? So we hear a lot of conversation with interest rates now, right? The 10 years ticking towards 3%. More importantly, we're seeing this flattening yield curve, right? Which people think is a warning sign, and certainly would be negative to financials, right? Stocks of banks make money by borrowing short and lending long, so a steeper yield curve is generally viewed by analysts as a good environment to own financials in. Well, we're seeing a flattening yield curve environment, but we're seeing more positive sentiment on financials. So what is it that we're picking up, or that the community is picking up on? Is it that the stocks have fallen too far ahead of the potential earnings compression that might come out of a flattening yield curve? Somehow we're seeing people perceiving these stocks as being of better value now, and we're seeing the weightings reflect that in the index.
I've noticed too in financials, just reading a lot of reports that, advisory services things, where they're either advising companies or advising individuals, like those fees are going through the roof. I think a lot of people worried about what to do next. But
new in the index, Discover Financial. So you might be onto something.
Let me ask about a different company. Facebook, obviously, Mark Zuckerberg very famously about a week ago said it's been an interesting year for them. It's been a tough year for them. What's happened in the Buzz Index when it comes to Facebook?
Well, we started off, we've had a lot of good news stories in Buzz, and we talked about them when we started our chat today. No AI and no community gets everything right. Facebook is one that everyone got wrong, right? At least in this sense. So we saw Facebook, which had been a consistent name in the index and really delivered and helped drive performance over time. When all of these scandals broke, sentiment cratered. And cratered faster than we've really ever seen on any stock, especially a stock of that size. Out it comes from the index. The stock's rallied 5% since then. So we don't always get them wrong. We do see sentiment coming back. I think the company is really trying to correct the damage control, right? They're in big time damage control. They moved too slowly when the scandal broke. But now, whether it's on Capitol Hill or yesterday, Facebook had a big developer day conference, and it's all about addressing these issues consistently, apologizing, and sort of laying out a path for a better future. We'll see how it goes. Sentiment is coming around slowly. We'll see if Facebook can make it back in the index, but the stock has certainly bounced off the lows.
I'm running along, but I got two more names for you. The next one is Starbucks, obviously in the news with the Philadelphia situation. How does something like that affect a company like Starbucks in the social media world?
Muted. Generally muted. I think the media give it more attention than investors give it.
Yeah.
It's a branding story, but it's not viewed by investors as a long-term detriment to the brand or a long-term sort of action that could ultimately affect the valuation of the company or sales going forward.
Well,
I think it's a short-term branding problem for Starbucks, but it's not a potential existential problem like some of the scandals Facebook was facing.
Right. No, and I thought that the PR firm, different than with Facebook, really got out. Not the PR firm, but just their whole PR machine got out in front of it, tried to make some changes, and whether it was enough or not is that's a different podcast, Jamie. But I've got one more name. The new kid on the block since you've been here last is Spotify. Are we getting any Spotify sightings yet?
We're not. Spotify has not been in our index. It has not met the number of minimum threshold conversations or data posts for us to include it one way or another. So new kid on the block, certainly getting media attention, not getting enough attention from the investment community to warrant any meaningful allocation within the index, any allocation for that matter. But stay tuned.
I love that, though. I mean, very, very, very bluntly, I really like the fact that, it has to, for your index, it has to have a medium threshold of people talking about it before we do anything. Because otherwise, I think the Buzz Index will be all over the place.
Absolutely. And that's why this is not, a short-term trading strategy. It's not about what Spotify is going to do in the next hour. It's trying to identify longer-term trends. And if you want to identify longer-term trends and changes within them, you need to have longer-term, deep amounts of data to analyze to get confidence in any changes in sort of the overall level of discussion.
The ticker symbol.
We need more.
Bring us more, Spotify. Come on. The ticker symbol is BUZ. If you head to stackingbenjamins.com/BUZZ, you guys also have an awesome newsletter whenever Buzz happens.
Yeah, every month when we post the changes to the index, it's the third Thursday is the rebalance. So within a day or so, we'll send out a newsletter not only highlighting which names are buzzing in and out of the index, but we'll spotlight a couple of either sectors or stock-specific stories that we think are interesting and worth a deeper dive. So it's worth a look, and you can also sign up for that newsletter. It'll go right into your inbox. And of course, you can see all the holdings of the Buzz Index at buzzetfs.com or buzzindexes.com. There's a holdings tab there, real time, every day, complete transparency. See which names are trending up and down.
Awesome, Jamie. Thanks a ton for hanging out again this month.
Great being here. Thanks, Joe.
Amazing, OG, how the Buzz Index just keeps rocking.
Love it.
I think the takeaway here, though, is wipe away your messy problems.
See, I interpreted that learning a different way. Like, could we not just sell one thing and charge like $1 million in shipping and then let them kick us out of the program?
There it is.
Deal.
That's the real lesson. Kick us out afterwards. As long as you get to keep the money, who cares? That's the real lesson here, kids. I don't think Story Hour with Joe and OG would have like that and that we want. And that's why, kids, you should always be nice to the wolf when you're going to grandma's house.
And that's why you should always wash your... Hello.
Aja.
Visiting a...
Aja McClanahan upstairs talking to Mom. She has a very unique story. She went to a place that one documentary called Chirac. It was known locally as a war zone and very difficult place to live. She, on purpose, moved there with her family because she desperately needed to save some money. Obviously, the story worked out, or we wouldn't have her. Spoiler, that the story works out. But here with her story, we're going to start from the most painful part. Aja McClanahan coming down to the basement. Aja, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you could join us in the basement to talk about your amazing story. And I have to tell you, we do 3 shows a week. And when I was telling them your story, they go, that's an amazing story. I'm like, well, hello. That's why we're having Aja on, because this is awesome. But it wasn't awesome, right? It wasn't awesome. You're moving into, I want to start here. You're moving into this house, which you got from your family for free. Why would somebody give you a free house?
Well, because it was in the ghetto. There are bullet holes in the back door. Not an exaggeration. That's true. And it's still true because we haven't replaced one of the doors.
But you've replaced a bunch of other stuff since then.
We have. It's pretty much redone. We've done a couple of bathrooms. We've made it look pretty now. We've redone the kitchen. It's nice now.
When you first heard that you were getting this house, what was your first thought?
At first, we were like, thanks, but no thanks, because we're suburbanites. So my husband and I, we were reared in the suburbs. We are suburban kids, like to the core, like really. So we didn't want to go moving into the inner city because presumably that's what our parents sacrificed for. That's what they sent us to college for. So we were like, no thanks. But then we were like, wait, we're broke. So we'll take it.
let's go back then to the point that you're broke, because this is where we're going to end up, guys. We're going to end up in this house with bullet holes in the door. How did you get there?
We found ourselves in a lot of debt. My husband and I had combined $60,000 worth of student loans. And then on top of that, we purchased a luxury SUV, and I had miscellaneous like credit card debt. So all in all, we were like $120,000 of debt. We had really no assets. We didn't even own a house, which was really sad. So we were just basically drowning in debt, and we needed a way out. We started the process by like moving in with my mom, and we knew we couldn't live there forever. And so this family member came to us and said, "Hey, I just inherited this house. I don't want to live in the hood. Do you?" And at first we said, no, we don't want to live in the hood either. But then we thought more about it, and we were like, we don't want a mortgage. We need to get out of debt. So we eventually said yes.
But I want to go back to your lifestyle at the beginning, though. Luxury SUV, lots of debt. It's like at that time, Aja, you and your husband weren't even really thinking about budgets.
No, we were basically doing what everybody was doing around us, right? You go to school so that you can afford stuff on monthly payments. So we had lots of payments. That's what we were very successful at that lifestyle. But at one point, we just realized we didn't want to do it anymore. Why do we have so much debt? Why, do we have to work so hard? And we didn't even own anything. So I think the turning point for us is we were renters, and my husband went to drop off our rent check one day to our landlord, who seemed not to have a job, even though he said he did. And he just seemed to like live this really carefree life. And we were like, he's not that much older than us. Why are we doing this? And that's when we were like, you know what? We have to make a change. If we're going to build wealth, if we're going to have something, we have to attack this debt. And we made a really urgent plan. Probably stupid, but it worked out. It worked out.
Well, it sounds like it was, when you say it was an urgent plan, you didn't take a long time to change?
No, probably like the day he dropped off the rent check and had his little rant. I was like, wait, you're off in a couple of days. Let's move. I'll call my mom. And so like literally within a week, we had moved out of this man's house, and my mom let us move in for free. She didn't charge anything, but I called her like, "Hey, Mom, I think we're moving in tomorrow." And she's so nice. She was totally game. Like, okay. I think she was happy to have us. But I want to also say we did it with integrity. We did find another renter. We just didn't skip out on our lease.
That's nice. Did you ever find out what the landlord did for a living? Did he just own a bunch of houses?
No, he actually worked. He worked at like a computer company or something, but just had a really flexible schedule where he'd like do Ironmans in Hawaii, and he just had all these weird things that he would do, but just a really flexible job, I guess. So you move in with Mom, and there's a lot of people listening that go, I know, Joe, that you work in your mom's basement, but I don't want to live with Mom. Did for you, it might be one thing because it's your mom. How did your husband feel? He was okay with it because he knew that it wasn't forever. And it wasn't like, oh, we want to live with Mom so we could just like buy more stuff. As soon as we moved in, we were like paying down debt like gangbusters. We were saving money like crazy. We hit the ground running. It was not like some laid back vacation for us. It was like, we're going to be here for a little while, and then we got to go to the next point in life, whether that was like renting somewhere else or getting a house or something like that. But yeah, there was a plan involved. Did that plan involve spreadsheets, involve technology? Did you put money in different envelopes? I mean, how did it work? We're kind of old, so it kind of started like maybe 10 years ago. So we didn't have all the cool apps and everything, but I am a spreadsheet nerd. So towards the end of our journey, there were more apps and things like that, but I did definitely track our budget with spreadsheets. Every month, I was always trying to find money to pay off debt. And then part of the journey, too, was like I ended up starting a business that didn't fail like the first one that got me into a bunch of debt. And that actually accelerated our debt elimination process. But yes, technology, I'm a spreadsheet nerd, and that's how I managed everything. I love that. Spreadsheet, but also the side hustle to bring in more money. Tell me about the business. So it evolved. I started a translation company, and that's when I got into a bunch of debt. And then I was like, I'm just not good at this. Not the translation part. I would have other people do that. It was like getting clients. So I ended up working for another translation firm. Just when you work for one niche, people in industry, like, oh, I like to work with you. So I started doing sales and marketing consulting, which eventually turned into database consulting. So I would implement Salesforce databases for people from home. And I had maybe like 3 or 4 people working with me. And it was a great moneymaker. I had a lot of great clients. I ended up moving into nonprofits. I'm doing databases for them as well. So yeah, that developed over like 8 years. And it was a great source of money when it was up and running.
How long did you live with your mom?
About 1.5 years. Like two.
Okay. During that time, how much debt were you able to pay down of the, $120,000?
Oh my good. If I had to guess, because I don't know the numbers offhand, I would say maybe like 30 to 35,000 probably came off during that time.
And then you hear about this house. And by the way, this neighborhood where this house was, Spike Lee has a movie called Chirac. That's the neighborhood you moved into.
Yeah, the movie is referencing my neighborhood. They even filmed many of the parts in my neighborhood. So that's where I live. But I only say that. I love my neighborhood, by the way. I still live here. But I only say this when I say ghetto, the hood. Some people get offended and they're like, we don't live in the hood and the ghetto. I agree. I have a very high quality of life. But I say that so people can understand the magnitude of what we did to escape financial turmoil.
You heard first about the house living with your mom, or did you already know about the house your entire life?
No. We were living with my mom, and then our relative called and said, hey, I got this house. I really don't even know if I could sell it because it was just in bad shape in a bad neighborhood. If you want it, you can have it. There's no mortgage. Just clean it up, fix it up, and then you can move in and you can stay there. And we're just like, thanks, but no thanks. But, again, like I said, about a week or so went past and my husband's like, didn't we say we didn't want to be like in any more debt? This actually fits into that plan. I'm like, but it's in the hood. I'm from this suburb. People think like, oh, you're Black. You just fit into the hood. And it's not automatic like that. Like they're still, people can spot us a mile away. They're like, they're from the suburbs.
Some of these people don't act like the others.
Yeah. But you know what the other amazing part is? There are other families here like us who are the property here. It's cheap. The property taxes are cheap. And Chicago is an expensive place to be. So there are actually more people moving in to take advantage of that because, Americans are broke.
and you said the neighborhood's getting better.
It is. A few years ago, we got like a Whole Foods and a Starbucks and a Chipotle and some other things like big city job centers and stuff are coming here. So it worked. It actually worked out. It's been almost 10 years, but it's steadily improving. Paint
a picture of the house when you first went there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a family house where a lot of people have lived here. There are a lot of things that were in disrepair. It's just an old house. It's probably built in the 1920s or something like that. Leaky roof. Old kitchen, like I'm talking those metal cabinets from the 50s. I don't know if you remember those.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's funny. What's funny is I'm thinking of my wife's grandmother who still had those cabinets. Yes.
That's what we're talking. So yeah, it took us a while. We fixed up little by little. Whenever we get some money, we do some things, but we made it livable, coming in. And next to us actually was an abandoned house that would look like if you touched it, it would collapse. And it took us like 7 years to deal with the city. So they finally demolished it. But when we first moved in, we heard that there were like drugs and guns stashed in there and people would be like in and out. But eventually that maybe a few months after we moved in, that went away because we were there and we were kind of watching over it. But yeah, there were definitely some situations going on in the neighborhood and even close by.
And the debt payments continued then. How long did it take you to pay off the debt?
About 3 years after we moved in, we paid off the rest of our debt. And like I said, the numbers are sketchy because I don't remember every single thing because there was once a time where we actually went back into debt. So, overall it was probably like a 10-year process. But if we condense the timeline, maybe it took us 5 or 6 years if we just count when we were like really aggressive and gazelle intense, as Dave Ramsey would say.
If you had one lesson for somebody listening to kind of learn from your situation, Let's start with what you did well. What would be the big takeaway from you and your husband's lessons here?
Well, I would say that we knew where we wanted to go. And so there was almost nothing that was off the table. Like there was a time where we had a moratorium on paper towels. We were like, my husband's like, no, we're not going to do paper towels. And until this day, he still hides a stash of paper towels that I don't know where it is because we'll just use too much. So there were some other more extreme things we did, but yeah, moving into the hood was one of them. So I would say, like, don't be afraid to stretch your limits. If you really want to be free from debt, if you want financial freedom, there are some things that you're going to have to do to get it.
I love your story, and I love the idea of trade-offs. And you definitely made some big trade-offs. What about doing it faster? Like, there's always, no matter how fast you go, there's some things you look back on and you're like, I should have done this, and it would have been so much better. What would that be?
I'm trying to think, what could we have done better? Probably the car. We got a car for like $30,000, like a little bit before we were super gazelle intense, but we were still trying to get out of debt. But I had this epiphany like, oh, I still need this $30,000 car. So that definitely added to the timeline. We did end up paying it off early, but it was something that we didn't need. If I could go back, I probably would have gotten like a little beater for cash. But I mean, I still drive that car today. It's over 10 years old, and I probably can get another 10 years out of it. It's a luxury car. It's a foreign car, but I'll get another 10 years.
That's the way I feel about my Trailblazer. I'm like 200,000 miles. I think it's missing a cylinder forever. Not sure where I dropped that, but baby, that thing's going to last me a long time. Now what's cool, Aja, is that you teach people how to do better with their money. So let's talk for a second about what you do at Principles of Increase, because I love the site. You talk about dumping debt. You teach people how to increase their income, how to build wealth.
Yep. So I started that website about a month after we paid off all of our debt in 2013. So I started in 2014 because people kept asking me, oh my goodness, how did you pay off over $120,000 worth of debt? I was like, well, firstly, I moved in with my mom, then I moved to the hood. But there's some other more practical things you can do if you don't want to do that. And so I created the site as a way to like mass mentor people, just to get them familiar with the ideas of budgeting, putting away money in your 401k or investing, side hustling. All of that is a part of like setting your financial situation straight. And people are on different parts of their journey. So those are kind of like the 3 pillar things that I teach at Principles of Increase. And, you know, people can go to my website, get on my email list, and I send out weekly snippets and tips on like just how to handle your money better. And sometimes I'll do videos on YouTube. So yeah, there's a few different places you can find me.
I'll link to that. I'll link to your YouTube page. I'll link to the website on our show notes at stackybenjamins.com. I found when I was a financial planner, a lot of people, Aja, were making the same mistake. Like there's some mistakes that just keep happening over and over. What's the biggest mistake you see people just consistently make?
One thing I feel like people don't get, and I didn't get this either, was, okay, you create a budget, but then you stick to it. So if you say you're going to spend $200 a month for groceries, which is really low if you have a family, but some people do it, or whatever your budget is, say it's $500 for groceries. And then when that money is gone, when you've hit that limit, then you stop. You actually say no to yourself. And this, I don't want to sound condescending or look down on anybody, because I did this. I'd be like, I don't understand why I don't have any money. Well, I make this beautiful budget, and then I'd be like, you know, I want to have lobster today or something. Well, I don't eat lobster. Whatever is really expensive.
Right.
And I just do it. So I would just encourage people, if you're struggling with the idea of a budget, because people are like, it doesn't work for me, you have to set it and then you have to stick to it.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because a lot of my job as a financial planner, and I'm sure your job too, is just holding the mirror up saying, this is what you said you wanted. Is that really what you wanted? Or did you want the lobster, to your point?
Yeah.
The site is Principles of Increase. And like I said, we'll link to it on our show notes page at stackybenjamins.com. Aja, thanks a ton for coming down and sharing your story. This is so awesome. I think your story is way better than the Spike Lee movie, by the way.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Hey there, trivia nerds. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, back with not only your trivia, but another lesson. Gambling is dangerous. I've now picked up the $10 I won, and to prove how dangerous this is, I bought 10 more lottery tickets. And purely in the interest of time, I've scratched off 9 already. Non-winners. Here's the 10th one now, where you'll learn that gambling is it's silly. Just scratch here, and it's going to prove my point. I'll just keep on scratching, and both stars so far. That's kind of interesting. And a third star, let me look in the back. What does that third star mean? I won $100! $100! Are you kidding me? You know how much corn I can buy to celebrate National Corn on the Cob Day? It's going to be a cornucopia kind of day. Wow. Before I buy anything, though, let's get you to your trivia, shall we? To celebrate Corn on the Cob Day, how about this one? Corn is produced on every continent except which one? I'll be back with the answer and the fruit of my good luck in just a moment.
When's the last time you thought about your bank account, maybe your savings account? How about that credit card debt that you have hanging over your head? Well, guess what? If it's time for you to get your house in order, you want to head to stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money, because at Magnify Money, they have over 92% of all of the different products that are out there, whether it's a savings account, a checking account, an auto loan, a consolidation loan for your debt, a business loan, maybe student loan refinance. There is one place where you should go that has more places than ever and than anyone else online, stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money. What I like about it is their number one objective. They're going to give you your best deal instead of their best deal, like some other sites that I won't name. And then second, I really like the fact that they also talk about the fine print, because you don't want to get over your head and commit to something where you don't know what the fine print is. And Magnify Money's fine print score makes it easy for you to compare, ditch, switch, and save a bunch of money. The average person saves about $450. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/magnify money and save for yourself. Stacking Benjamins is also supported by Slack. We use Slack here in the basement, so I'm so happy that they are with us. Slack is a collaboration hub where in the Stacking Benjamins basement, listen, putting together these podcasts, way more work than you think that it is. And we need to all be on the same page. And if your organization needs everyone on the same page, or like us, you've got lots of different partners that you're working with. We have partners we're working with on several different projects, and we need to bring those all together so that we have the heartbeat all the time. Slack is a collaboration hub for work, whatever work you do. With Slack, the right people in your team are always kept in the loop, and the information that they need to get the job done is always at their fingertips. Teamwork on Slack happens in channels, and it lets you organize conversations and information around projects, offices, and teams. And because everything you need to work is in one place, it's faster and easier to get things done. With Slack, your team's better connected. Find out more at slack.com. It's always frustrating to see people lose things. And with Slack, it's easy to not lose things because you have all the tools and services you need in one place. We want to jump on a call together. We'll use a peer in through Slack, or we'll use Screen Hero through Slack. We also can pull in spreadsheets automatically into the Slack conversation. We have it all right there. And if we need to look back and say, hey, who was responsible for that thing? Where did we leave that? It's so easy to just go back into a conversation. You put in a few keywords and bada boom, bada bing. You've got the conversation back at your fingertips. And with mobile apps for iOS and Android that sync seamlessly, you can always pick up the conversation where you left off, no matter where you're at. Pick up the work wherever you left off. Slack, where work happens. Learn more at slack.com. That's slack.com.
Hey there, trivia fans. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. And I was just thinking, we need to keep teaching you a lesson about just how bad gambling is, but it's not working out. I mean, I have won twice, but I got to do something to teach the kids out there that gambling is bad. You know, Bob down at the corner store mentioned that there's this horse in the third race down at the track named Glue Factory. It's got to be a shoo-in for today's race. Well, Bob's always wrong about this stuff, so I bet the whole thing on Glue Factory, all $100. You're now going to learn just how silly it is to gamble, kids. Here they go. Okay, look at that. Race just started. Glue Factory's fading fast. Yeah, I mean, this is why you don't gamble. See what I mean? It doesn't pay. So let's get to your trivia. To celebrate a worthwhile holiday like National Corn on the Cob Day, here was the question. Corn is produced on every continent except which one? If you said Antarctica, you'd be correct. Hey, whoa. What is going on? Glue Factory coming from the back of the pack? Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Down the stretch. Glue Factory to third. Go. Oh, my God. Glue Factory's won it. He's won the whole thing. I just won $3,000. Sizzler's on me, pals. Everybody show up at the Sizzler in Texarkana. I'm buying everybody shrimp cocktail. See ya.
I think Doug might be learning the wrong lesson.
Doug kind of always learns the wrong lesson, doesn't he?
No, never. Doug? We talking about the same Doug? Hey, OG, let's throw out the Haven Lifeline and tackle some of life's, or in this case, life insurance's most important questions. Our friends down at Haven Life Insurance Agency, they've been disrupting the life insurance industry by focusing on what you value most.
Butter and corn, baby.
Oh, the 1-2 punch. I don't know, though. You got to have 3 because salt's got to be on there, too.
I make a hella good cream corn, just saying.
Oh, you know what I'm missing? I haven't done corn on the cob on the grill in forever.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, we have that all the time.
That's for the win.
That's a staple. Yep.
That is.
Do you do it in the husk or outside of the husk?
In the husk. Got to do it in the husk.
Soak it.
Absolutely.
You soak it.
Oh yeah. But you know what you soak it in? Butter. And there was a friend of mine last summer who had butter and garlic salt.
Oh boy.
Oh. Just heaven.
That's my baby making music right there.
That got creepy in a hurry.
It's an Anchorman quote. Come on.
Haven, it's still creepy. Even then, I thought, man, that was creepy. But in this case, it's your family and your time. Just saying. It's why they created a simple way to buy affordable and dependable term life insurance online. It was so exciting talking to them on Monday about all the disruption happening in that company and going on in life insurance in general with some companies like Haven Life. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/Haven Life now to get a free estimate for coverage and to learn about life insurance the modern way. And up to bat today, we're going to throw out the lifeline to our good friend Tony. Say hey, Tony.
Hey, Joe and OG. This message is for Doug, obviously. My wife is a PE teacher and is starting a side hustle this summer where she hosts a week-long summer camp at the local rec center. All the details have been worked out with the rec center to allow us to work in their space and fall under their insurance umbrella. We're paying them a set fee per kid, and we get to pocket the rest of the cash, minus expenses. It's looking like this summer she might end up clearing around $4,000 to $5,000, but in the future she hopes to double that money or more by adding another week-long session. My question is, what's the best way to manage the finances for this camp? If it grows, she'll likely hire some hourly employees from the local high school, and there'll be a few extra expenses for supplies, snack breaks, first aid, things like that. Should we set up a personal business account? Just keep track of it like we do our normal money? Or should we blow it all at the Sizzler after the last day so there's no money to worry about? Do we need to talk about an LLC? This is all brand new to us. We're young and still trying to figure out our way out from underneath some student loans. And we hope that this will help us get a jump on that and maybe start saving some extra for retirement. We live in Texas, if that makes a difference. And you can pass Doug's answer on to me or just tell him to meet us at the Sizzler after camp. See ya!
Thanks for Tony never listens to the show. Thanks, Tony, for the question. And I don't even think we're going to pass that one on to Doug. Sorry, Tony, because Doug's already at the Sizzler. Hello.
Yeah, no kidding. I love this idea, by the way, right? Like taking something that you're already good at, something that you already do, and then expand it, right? So wifey's got a few week break there during the summer, says, you know what? This is what I do. Why don't I just do it and charge people for it?
Make more money.
And especially during the summer when everybody is trying to find places to put their kids. Fantastic idea. The way that I would look at this first year is just kind of as a trial run, right? So you kind of get to the end of the first week of doing this. You're going to do 1 week. Just kind of evaluate it and say, okay, here's what we spent per kid. Here's what, we ended up buying juice boxes and sidewalk chalk or whatever. And you kind of can get an idea of what that looks like as you expand it moving forward. Whatever that cost is, I would make sure you set that aside for next year. So you've got seed capital, so to speak, for next year's run at this. And if you're planning on doing it 2 weeks, then obviously double it. So I would do that. And then the rest of that money, yeah, absolutely. I'd use that, pay down debt, build cash reserve, invest it, do whatever floats your boat. In the future, I don't know that you have to get really overly complicated with, hiring a payroll company. You got kids that you have to manage and, all that sort of stuff. When it gets to employees and that sort of thing, not exactly sure how you want to handle that. There's several ways to kind of knock that out. Maybe kids want to volunteer for like course credit or something like that, right? That might be an idea. You can get a college kid that looks for an internship or something. Who knows? There's lots of different ways to kind of solve that problem.
If you do end up having employees, there are some online payroll services that charge next to nothing. So I would scour the internet. I'd join a business group. There are all kinds of entrepreneurial groups online. Join one of those closed Facebook groups and ask them. Heck, you could even ask people in our Stacky Benjamin's basement. There's plenty of entrepreneurs there. Ask them what services that they use, and you'll get a few different ideas for payroll. In terms of setting up the LLC, I kind of worry about that. The LLC, I think, is your first line of defense. Not necessarily easy to set up. And for the first year, with the amount of money she's making, it's going to be taking it on the chin a little bit, because you're going to spend way more money setting that up than it probably seems like it's worth in year one. But if it expands over time, if that's the goal, then that's something that setting up once at the beginning takes care of itself, and you never have to worry about it again.
Yeah, in Texas, it costs, I think, about $300 to set up a limited liability company. The other thing that I was thinking too is anytime you're working with kids, now obviously your wife's a teacher, so she's done all that background check stuff. But when you bring other people in, now you got to be thinking about background check stuff for that person. I was just thinking about the rec league that my kids play baseball in, and all the coaches have to go through the background check, to get the official coach badge, that puts them in the practice facility and puts them on the field with the young kids. So there's probably other things that we're not even thinking about here, but I think this first year is definitely the trial run, right? She may not want to do it. She may get done with this and go, I don't care how much money they pay me. I do not want to hang out with this many kids for a week, which would be my reaction to it. But yeah, so I can already tell what mine would be.
I'd also ask
I love the idea.
Yeah. I'd ask your tax person too about that amount of money and doing quarterly payments to the IRS. Should you do quarterly payments? The thing I like, by the way, about having a payroll company, if you hire employees, is that a lot of time they'll take care of that. They'll take care of submitting the payroll taxes on your behalf, which is really cool. One less thing for you to have to worry about. She can worry about what she likes, which is hanging out with the kids, teaching kids, and not worry about how the intricacies of payroll work.
Very cool opportunity.
Yeah, nice job, Tony. Thanks for the question. We also get letters down here in the basement. Today we have a letter from Nick. Nick has a very simple question. Nick asked, how do you access the Stacky Benjamin Stackers newsletter from the website? Well, that's a great question, Nick. Actually, it's much, much easier than that. You just put it link in your URL. You put in stackybenjamins.com/stacker, STACKER. And then nearly once a week, you'll get an email from me to your inbox magically. The cool thing, it's always free. You can always unsubscribe if you want. However, Mom puts hers on the fridge. Last week, we talked about investment fees. I got a little surly there, OG. I got a little surly.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. You're an angry elf.
Start off a little angry, but it gets all sunshiny by the end. We try to keep it positive.
We talk about cake, so that's...
Yes, you can't go wrong talking about cake. Mom's favorite example. StackyBenjamins.com/stacker is how you get that, Nick. Thanks for the question. If you've got a question for us or for the show, head to StackyBenjamins.com. And at the top of the page, you'll see questions for the show. Click on that link, and guess what? It shows you all the ways that you can interface with us. Big thanks to Jamie Wise. Thanks also to Aja McClanahan for stopping by. Find her Principles of Increase. You can head to our show notes for the link, stackingbenjamins.com. And last thing here, if you're ready to get serious about your money, OG's taking clients. We talk all the time about becoming a money ninja. We talked today about doing some fairly difficult things, like moving into not the world's best neighborhood to save $1. You could have OG yell at you. How great would that be? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Do I do a lot of yelling? I'm not sure about that, but I might recommend that you move.
We could have a segment with somebody who's coping with OG yelling at them. Wouldn't that be great? I would. We have Aja McClanahan moving to the rough streets, and we've got Billy Bob, who decided to work with OG. We're not sure which one's tougher. StackingBenjamins.com/letter O, letter G when you're ready to get started.
Private Pile, why is your footlocker unlocked? Sir, I don't know, sir. Private Pile, if there is one thing in this world that I hate, it is an unlocked footlocker. You know that, don't you? Sir, yes, sir. If it wasn't for like you, there wouldn't be any thievery in this world, would there? Sir, yes, sir. Get out!
If there weren't any like you, there wouldn't be any thievery. It's his fault that people steal.
If there's anything missing.
Holy shit.
What is that? What the is that? What is that, Private Pile?
Sir, it's a jelly donut, sir.
Donut? Sir, yes, sir. How did it get here? Sir, I took it from the mess hall, sir. It's chow.
There you have it. That's a recent meeting with OG that we recorded.
What is that?
All right.
Sir, it's a credit card, sir. A credit card? The credit card's... Oh, we can totally spoof this whole thing. Is that an interest payment on a credit card?
All right, Doug, before he goes off the deep end, what should we have learned today, man?
So, what did we learn today? First, check your statements so you don't end up with a messy toilet paper situation. Second, take some advice from Aja McClanahan. In money trouble, take drastic action. You'll be happy you did. But the big lesson, when you win big, share the wealth. No, I don't mean share the money. I mean, I'm betting again, and Jimmy's sweaty kid Malone is fighting in a few minutes, and we bet Joe's mom's Social Security check on it. I cannot lose. Sure, he's never made it past the third round, but that means he's due. Special thanks for Aja McClanahan for what? Whoa. Jimmy Sweaty Kid Malone got knocked out in 34 seconds? Joe's mom's Social Security check is gone? Thanks to Aja McClanahan for joining us on today's show. You'll find her writing and videos and podcast and more at principlesofincrease.com. Oh my God, how did he lose in 34 seconds? Thanks also to Jamie Wise for appearing live via audio tape for today's show. You'll find him manning the helm at stackingbenjamins.com/buzz, which will take you right to the Buzz Index. What's that now? What's that? Phone call for me. Hello? Yeah? You forgot to place my bet. You forgot to... What? How could you forget to place my bet? I should have come down there in that... Whoa. You forgot to place my bet? You forgot to place my bet? Oh my God, that's great. See, kids, betting doesn't pay. It just doesn't pay, kids. And on behalf of National Corn on the Cob Day, for a second there, I thought I'd back myself into a corner. Backed into a corner. No? Okay. What do you get when a corn cob is run over by a truck? Creamed corn. That one's better, right? That's just better. No, okay. What do you call a mythical veggie? A unicorn. No, that's just fun. No, okay. What do you tell maize after it graduates from high school? Congratulations. Oh, come on. Now that one is money. Come on. All right. How is an ear of corn like an army? Both have lots of kernels. Yeah, no, that one sucks. Hey, these aren't going over. Anyone know any good corn puns? I need them for my screenplay project, Corn Hero 3, Just Doing My Cob. No? Come on, people! You're humorless. This show was created by Joe Salsihai, produced by Richie Rutter-Reese, and engineered by the amazing Steve Stewart. Online, visit us on Twitter at @SBenjaminsCast or on our Facebook page. Shannon Cowan is our community manager and social media guru. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and I'm a lot deeper than you realize. In fact, sometimes I just stand in front of my mirror and reflect. SB Podcasts may receive payment on the show from sponsors and guests in the form of books, giveaway items, discounts, or other remuneration. There's no way you would take advice from these dorks, but like Joe's mom always says, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only, and before making any financial moves, consult with a real financial advisor.
So here's the after show. Can't talk about the after show. I'm tired of saying we can't talk about the after show. Just don't talk about it. Don't say after show. Say dessert if you have to. Full Metal Jacket is probably one of my favorite movies, at least the beginning part of it. It's very descriptively accurate. I think most Marines would recognize that there are some very, very, very true things that happen there. Like physical abuse. Don't sign off on that. But didn't happen when I was there. But I have this very distinct memory of when I was in San Diego, and a very similar thing to Private Pile having the jelly donut in his footlocker. Only this recruit was taking peanut butter and jelly from the mess hall, right? Like you had little packets. And now you have to recognize, if you've never been in the military or been in boot camp or military college, you don't have 25 minutes to eat your lunch. You have like 7. Right? Like you do nothing other than eat while you sit there. Like you're eating and chewing and stuffing food, And so sometimes you don't get to eat all your lunch. Sometimes you go, and you get kind of hungry. Anyway, so this guy's taking peanut butter and jelly.
We had a problem at the Citadel when I was a freshman that some upperclassmen, just to be jerks, would sit there the entire lunch and make you, because you had to serve everybody and you couldn't eat while you were serving them. So we had to try to get a few bites. So you could barely eat while the upperclassmen were there. And then one by one, the upperclassmen got it, right? And they would leave. And you'd have a jerk. And 99 times out of 100, by the way, it was a sophomore. And also 99 times out of 100, it was when I was a sophomore, I learned this. It was the dude that was the whiniest freshman of all. The one that couldn't take it was the one who dished it out the worst.
He's gonna have paybacks. Right?
Oh, he was the biggest. It was amazing. I'm like, really? I wish I would have filmed you last year and how you were whining about everything. And now you're the biggest hard ass of all. Yeah. Nice.
So we've got this young man that wants to have peanut butter and jelly in his footlocker. So almost the exact same thing happens, right? They're packets, like peanut butter packets, right?
Yeah.
And he would just squeeze a peanut butter packet, squeeze a jelly packet. Now he's got a little sustenance, right? Different times during the day. Now, nobody's going to rat him out. I'm not going to. That's Bravo foxtrotting. You're not going to do that.
Sure, right.
But he got caught. And so this dude, they made him take all the peanut butter and all the jelly, and he had to paint half his face in peanut butter and half his face in jelly.
Oh, no.
And the way that the squad bays are kind of set up, like where where you're sleeping and stuff, like big bunk room, right? And so there's like 2 to a floor, like left and right, and then second floor left and right, third floor left and right. So there's like 6 in one unit, right? In one apartment unit kind of thing. So he was at the top, and he had to go into every single one. And it was there's so many levels of this. Like you can't go into somebody else's squad room, right? Unless you're part of that group. that was really frowned upon, and frowned upon to the extent of physical, training. So he goes from one and he comes running to the other, like skipping around like a school kid. But that was what he had to do. That was his punishment. And he would skip in, right? And he doesn't belong there. So everybody's like, what are you, freaking out. And he skips around going, I am a thief. I am a thief. I am a thief. Until one of the drill instructors comes out, their little duty station, and go, what the, who the are you? Give me, and so he's getting thrashed. And then he has to go to the next one.
And he knew, and he knew it was coming. I mean,
he's sweating peanut butter now because it's like all over his stuff. Because he's, and so he had to do that 6 times, as he kind of went from one hut to the next. I am a thief. I am a thief. I have another funny story we'll tell another time.
And candy. When you set off on that journey, it's not going to end well.
Yes, I was the gray man in boot camp. Like when we graduated, they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Yes, I did it right." You'd have no idea who I am. I made it.
They called people like me, because I was on the track and cross country team, ghost knob. Because freshman year, you're a knob because you have a knobby head because they shave your head. I'm a knob again, apparently.
Yes.
I'm getting back there.
I'm drunk.
I'm going back. But we had a knobby head, and so you're called a knob. And I was a ghost knob, meaning you're never around. So it was nearly the same. By the end of the year, they didn't know as much about you as they did people that weren't athletes and showed up every day for formation.
Yep.
I had to do a fashion show one time, which was not fun.
It wasn't like a real quality one.
No, well, our battalions at the Citadel, they're set up. You might have seen pictures. I mean, you can Google this, but there's a checkerboard in the middle where often upperclassmen would use freshmen wearing different hats as pieces, and they would actually play chess, where one guy's on one side yelling, for this piece to move and that piece to move. But that's in the middle. And then there's these open balconies, 4 levels with circular stairways in each corner. And so you'd start on the first floor just in your PTs. So you've got your white t-shirt, blue shorts, and you had to do 15 push-ups at every stop. So halfway between the stairways here, halfway between the stairways here, and then you go up to the next floor, here, and then all the way up to the third, all the way up to the floor, and you had to yell it, Sir 1, Sir 2, Sir 3, Sir 4, Sir, and you'd so they know you're doing it, even when they can't see you. Of course, later on you learn. You totally learn.
Just yell.
Oh yeah, you totally learn where they're at, and they know that's happening. By the way, I didn't think about it then, but of course they knew that I'm sitting there, my arms are shaking, because I've done so many. Because when you get done with the first one, you have to run back to them, and now you shut everybody your PTs, and now you have to put your dailies on top of your PTs and do it again, and you go around, and then you get done with that, and then you put your dress blues on, and you put that, and then you put your wools on over that, the winter stuff over your dress, over your dailies, over your PTs, and you do those. And the last thing you do, the last go around, you put on your raincoat, which is plastic and doesn't breathe. And that last one, you weigh 1 billion pounds. You can barely move anyway. You're sweating like a dog. You're in Charleston, South Carolina. And that was a fashion show. Not pretty. Cool. We'll talk about the movie next time. I went and saw Solo.
Oh, yeah. I heard that's out.
Yeah. Do we want to do that or we want to wait? Let's wait. We'll do that next week.